I spent, my childhood moving from home to home. And then my father was never around, my mother was never around. And therefore I was never able to figure that out. Like, where do I belong? My abuse started when I was between the ages of 6 and 7. It happened from a man down the hall. So, when we talk about, knowing somebody either in the family or somebody close, that's a great example of how it started for me. His abuse continued on for probably 3 years. But the weird part about it is he wasn't the only one in my neighborhood. There was another person, actually a couple. And from there, it kind of just perpetuated. Wherever I moved, it seems like I had a sign on my forehead saying, come and abuse me. And I probably looked like a vulnerable kid, looked like I was lost, which I was. So I was a perfect candidate for those predators to pick on. Around the age of 8, I remember telling my mother, and she never did nothing about it. So this is very, very common, especially these days. I'm hearing this more and more and more. I never felt like I was belonged. I always felt like I was abandoned, right? So, and I thought from being abandonment from my family, like they didn't care. So therefore, my behaviors and my actions were always extreme. It gradually built that feeling of not belonging and isolation. It just grew and perpetuated, and I got angrier and angrier to, you talk about thoughts and feelings and emotions. That was the stuff I was dealing with. I was a very, very angry kid. I did everything from cutting to stealing to drugs, alcohol, lying. All those sort of things were the signs of what was happening to me, but nobody knew the signs. I talk about self-sabotage. Well, I was the king of that. And it took me a long, long time to figure that out. That was what I was doing. And actually, when I think about it really, really deeply, it really became a habit. If I ever got into a relationship with an intimate partner, for example, I was always there for a short time, and then things would be just too good. And I didn't believe that I deserved that. So therefore, I would self-sabotage, and 9 times out of 10, I would walk away, believing I did not deserve that type of relationship. One of my relationships I'm going back almost 4 years ago, a relationship I was in at that time, and this woman I talked to, she was under the old beliefs of men don't cry, men can't be vulnerable, it just doesn't happen to men. And it wasn't a good experience. So I shut up for many, many years again after that. And then, if I may add on to this, that I did tell other people, but whenever I did tell other people, I was shut down. Wasn't believed. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen to boys. It doesn't happen to men. And it just further shut me down. How's a kid going to protect himself from a grown-up? Especially if they're like 7 or 8 years of age, right? What are they going to do? How are they going to protect themselves, right? But I still believed that it was my fault. I believed that it was meant to happen. And from the grooming that I received in the past, they said that was normal. This is what little boys do. This is what little girls do. But I didn't know any better. So I believed it. My shame, or my inner child, we want to call it, but it's a shame, was what we're talking about, drove my bus all the time. It was in control of me all the time. I have no self-worth, so therefore, I'm going to shame myself. Because I'm carrying a secret that I tried to talk about, which nobody would ever listen to me. And whenever I did talk about it, I was shamed for talking about it. So therefore, shame was like putting on my socks every day. It was normal for me to feel shame every day, and that's precisely how it worked for me. So I would go and medicate myself. Before I came here, the only feelings I knew were shame, that feeling of dread and not self-worth, and the other feeling would be when I would get high. That was the only other feelings that I knew. I was suicidal. My life was a mess, my finances, my personal life. I was tired of living the lie that I was living. You know, I had no trust in people to begin with when I came in here. I was not in a good place. And the last thing I expected to be, I knew what I was in for or what I was getting into, but at the same time, I didn't know what I was getting into because I had huge trust issues. So for me to come in and sit in with a bunch of men, total strangers, you know, including the 2 facilitators, probably the hardest 5 steps I've ever walked in my life. Now I glide up those stairs like they're not even there, but when I first came here, as I hear from many others that come here, those are the five of the hardest steps they've ever taken in their life. Frankly, if I hadn't come up those 5 steps, you know, this is gonna sound really hard, but I probably would not be here today. I honestly do not believe I was here today. You know, those 5 steps helped me find the light. I needed to find light. Well, I spent almost 50 years having this buried. When I came here, I didn't know nothing. I didn't know anything about trust or any of that stuff. So here I'm coming in blindly, not knowing what to expect, other than we're going to talk about this. And not only that, but this is at a peer level. This is not even at this is not from a psychologist or a therapist or anything that's running this. This is just strictly a bunch of men sitting around, not knowing one another, don't trust one another, and we're going to talk about stuff that we'd never be able to talk about. You know, it's kind of hard to tell somebody, well, come in with an open mind. It's just not that simple. Not when you have a wall here and you got a wall here and you got walls all around you. And how are you going to find that? How are you going to let that wall down so that you can actually express yourself to the conversation? How are you going to find trust? Like where do you find it? So most people that come in here are all very unsure of what's going to happen, how they're going to feel. Is it safe? Those are the big questions all the time. Those were my questions when I came in. So it was really, really difficult in the beginning, probably the first week or 2 weeks, to figure out, well, where do I fit in here? You know, what can I say? What can I say? How much of my story can I really say? Well, you know, this is the beautiful thing about this place is that, you know, I was able to come in here and I was able to say my story as the other men were able to say the story. No judgment. You know, that's the big thing. There's no judgment, and I didn't have to worry about them going behind my back and stabbing me in the back, or vice versa. They didn't have to worry about that. So in the beginning, it was very, very, well, it's hard to put words to it, but nevertheless, it was fulfilling in an aspect which I never thought conceivable. I wasn't perfectly healed when I did the 15 weeks. When I was done, I had to work on more things. And the beautiful thing about it was when I did the second phase, it helped me, I don't know, it helped me search deeper into myself. So then they asked me, well, Stuart, how would you like to facilitate? You be the guy in the group and you help deliver the program. I had to think about it a while. And I had to think about, well, what really can I offer? I come in here, I'm broken. I feel I'm broken. So what could I possibly offer if I'm broken? What could I tell those other men or women that would actually help them? And then after I talked to the staff a bit more at that time, and they helped me realize that, well, some of the things that I had struggled with, those are the sort of things that you can help others with. So I jumped into it like I'm jumping into cold water. And the first time I did a group, and nowadays we wouldn't do this, but basically the first group I did was by myself. As time went on, I started doing more groups and more groups and more groups. But people need to understand too that just because we're a facilitator doesn't mean we're still not working on ourselves. The only difference is I'm not sitting on the other side. I'm sitting on the side that I'm delivering the program, but lo and behold, it helped me more and more and more with myself and with my own thoughts and my feelings to work. Because at that time, even though I had done all that, I was still trying to figure out where I fit in, where I belong. I've talked to literally hundreds, even thousands of survivors over these years, not just people that have come through the Gatehouse here, but internationally around the world. And I hear all very, very similar stories. Obviously, our experiences are different, but how they felt and the feelings they went through it was incredible to hear that, and then be able to have somebody actually relate to what you're thinking and feeling was really monumental in regards to me finding my way. When you believe all your life that you're not worthy of people, yourself, of good things happening to you, and then this comes along, it's kind of like, I don't know, there's really no way to describe it other than, I did find the light, and I'm able to actually say to this day now that I love myself, as where I spent most of my life hating myself, self-destructing myself. So those 5 steps are huge. This whole journey through this whole time that I've been here, over a period of time, has brought strengths that I never knew that I had. And it keeps getting better and better as I go along, right? My bad days are, sure, I have bad days. Who doesn't have bad days? But my bad days are not like they were 10 years ago. It's wonderful to watch people grow. It's wonderful to watch people, people don't get to see this as we get to see this. But you see, this is more strength that gives me at the same time, seeing them help themselves. They come in here, they felt like I did when I came in here. They're broken, they have no self-worth, and then they start to see that they're actually a human being, and they have feelings, they matter, and then the beautiful part about this is them actually believing it. As I didn't believe in it in myself, and to me, every time I see this every day, it just helps me want to do more, and it just, people need to understand that they're worth more than what they believe they were, right, from what other people told them, and it's wonderful to see that happen every day, and I get to see that every day. So there is light, there is a chance, for everybody to help themselves, but at the end of the day, it's up to us wanting to help ourselves. We can offer you all this, but if you don't do the work on yourself, then you're not going to change. What we do, it's a lot of magic, and the magic is when it comes down to it, is within yourself. We just need to see it, and we don't, as people that have been beaten down by others, it's not that easy to see. In Canada and a lot of other colonial states, this topic is not a good topic to talk about, and the laws around it are very lax. We have a lot of work to do ahead. So when we talk about, when I talk about where I want to be in the Survival Council, I just want to be able to address those, as a council, be part of this, being able to address issues that nobody will talk about, such as childhood sexual abuse. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to approach the government. We want to be able to go there and offer them, not just statistics, but actual, knowledge and resources so that other people can help themselves. And I figured the only way we can do that is we do it as a whole, we do it as a group. Like, for example, if we have 20,000 or 30,000 people, just hypothetically speaking, across Canada, fighting for the same thing, then you are going to get results. But you can't do it as one, as we figured it out. We were the only second one in the world, next to Germany. There's other countries that are trying to bring this in now as well, that wants the same thing. They want better representation for the government, so we can go to the government and we can consult the government on these issues. So really, this is what we're here to do, and we can offer expertise. Like, we literally, for all the people that are here, we have over 100 years of experience that we could offer to the government and to the public to help them to make changes, whether it be make better laws, to provide better mental health for people, and then all the other modalities along top of that to go with that training as well. We're the voice of the people that are not being heard. I always encourage people to come up those steps, even just to come in and try once. And if you don't like it, well, you can leave, and there's no judgment, right? So, there is a certain amount of, if I can use the word gamble, when you're coming up here, because you really don't know. You're coming in, you're talking with strangers. Well, how are you supposed to feel? What are your expectations? What are you trying to achieve? You know, is the Gatehouse going to be able to do that? You know, am I going to be able to trust them well enough that no one's going to violate me? Like, those are the kind of questions we get, right? Even to this day. And you know, we can't really tell them too much other than we won't allow that stuff to happen. But at the same time, you have to let your wall down a little bit and trust us a little bit in order for you to try the process to move forward. And that's exactly what I had to do. I had to find trust, even though I didn't trust. Everybody deserves to feel like a human.